Good evening, Buck Bookers. My name is Buck. Welcome to Buck's Books. My publicist has instructed me to ensure that all of the book offerings are going to be spooky for the month of October. And so I will do my best. I maintain that they should be orc related, but I don't make the decisions around here. Today's book is called The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't read a book this old, credited as a romance. Those aren't really my speed, but I did pull this from a list of books that are supposed to be similar to Between Two Fires by Christopher Buhlman, which I believe I have mentioned every single Buck's book since I started this channel. I'm going to review that one day. It's going to happen. This book was not anything like that book, which is sort of a running theme with that entire list that I got from Reddit, which goes to show you don't get lists from Reddit. But it was good. It was a fun, goofy little gothic tangle. It was probably much less fun and goofy in the 1700s, but ultimately still worth the read. On Goodreads, I said it was 3 stars, but like, I had so much fun, I'd probably put it at like 3.5 if they gave me that option. You know, like, it wasn't. 4 is for books that are real good, and it wasn't real good, but I don't regret reading it, you know? So, it starts with Prince Manfred, right? And his sickly son is crushed by an inexplicably giant falling helmet. It just comes right out of the sky, and that spoils his marriage to the beautiful and thoroughly Christian Isabella. She is chaste. She is made of porcelain. There's just pages talking about how beautiful she is because it is a romance written in the 1700s. And she's also not only nuble, but very marriageable. She got huge tracts of land, so everybody is interested in Isabella. A peasant boy who witnessed the crushing of the sickly son of Prince Manfred suggests that the giant helmet looks a lot like the giant helmet that is on the nearby statue of Saint Alfonso, who was a beloved past ruler of the kingdom, I guess? Kingdom? Dukedom? Fiefdom? Of Otranto. Manfred decides that this means the boy is a necromancer and seals him in the helmet to starve for his necromancy. Now, Manfred is faced with a difficult situation here because he had a very lucrative business merger coming up, but now his gross son has been reduced to a stain in the castle courtyard. So, Prince Manfred takes on the onus of having to marry the young and comely de facto daughter-in-law, Isabella. But he's already married to a woman named Hippolyta. And he just pretends that that doesn't matter anymore. He's just like, who? So this turns into like a Tom and Jerry chase around the castle, with Manfred literally pursuing Isabella, and he can't catch her, which is really just another facet of this May-December romance that he hadn't considered. The peasant boy's name turns out to be Theodore, and he tunnels out of the helmet and into the castle, whereupon he meets with Isabella, who, as we recall, is the beautiful and comely maiden who owns all the land that isn't here. And he vows to defend her with his life due to his innate chivalry, which, in the 1700s, was suspicious for a man of such low birth. So, our boy Theodore lifts up the trapdoor, allowing Isabella to escape into some chapel or other. And she believes that because it is holy ground, I think she thinks that Manfred's operating on like vampire rules, and if she gets to holy ground, then he won't come and consummate her. And that really just further establishes the gothic romance trope of the female love interest's complete inability to read a room. So Manfred bursts into the scene of the trapdoor, where the trapdoor is, and it just slams down, and he busts in and he finds that damn necromancer in his castle, and they squabble for a while, and then Manfred sentences him to death, which he already did. So this is the second time Manfred has sentenced Theodore to death for necromancy, in probably the course of like 2 hours. But what ho! Friar Jerome announces that actually, due to a weird birthmark, he is now certain that Theodore is his missing son, and thus of noble birth, an inheritor of something or other, which explains why he was chivalrous and polite. He lost touch with his son when the boy was enslaved by pirates. Okay, so we got the stage set. That's how this book starts, right? So in the midst of all of these shenanigans, there's a lot of Scooby-Doo spooking just all over the castle, and the servants are getting a little soggy in their britches about it. The paintings keep moving and sighing, and there's a giant ghost knight. So this is something that I had a little bit of trouble picturing. I think it was a lot more powerful in 1700, probably, but they're really overemphasizing the size of the knight. Like, he's not just like 20 feet tall Game of Thrones giant. He's like 100 feet tall. So where are they putting a 100-foot tall ghost knight in a castle? It's not explained. I guess that's you just got to use your imagination. There's one of his giant ghost knight hands keeps appearing and like issuing ominous portents to whoever's in the room and then disappearing again. And then we have the entry of a cadre of armed knights who want to take Isabella back to her father's castle. And also, Isabella's father wants to claim the castle of Otranto right now because he has better claim to it. He is just arbitrarily decided. So all of these plates are in the air simultaneously. Matilda appears and frees Theodore. Matilda is the sister, right, of the sickly and deceased Prince something or other. She finds Theodore in the tower and she frees him, which makes for Theodore's second escape in looking at like 3 hours, right? He sees her and falls instantly in love with her as only the protagonist of a gothic romance can. Theodore puts that on the back burner, though, and springs into action, rushing back to the underground church because he swore to defend Isabella to the death. And as we know, because he is nobly born, his chivalry comes first. He is attacked by a mysterious knight who he injures very badly, only for it to be revealed that the knight himself is Frederick. Now that might not mean anything to you. It didn't mean anything to me either, because that's not the exposition. They said it like it was, but the actual exposition was that Frederick is Isabella's father. Isabella, huge tracts of land. So everyone's kind of confused right now. They all go back to the castle to sort things out. And then our boy Frederick sees Matilda, who is Manfred's daughter, right? And Frederick falls instantly in love with her. So we have two creepy old men together in a room who are simultaneously deciding that they really like the daughter of the other creepy old man. Match made in heaven. This is the starting of another beautiful business merger, right? So each creepy old man decides they're going to exchange their daughter to the other creepy old man in marriage, resulting in the aforementioned kingdom merger that has been really coming apart at the seams since that big helmet fell out of the sky. It is at this point a skeleton appears. I don't know why. Skeleton appears and yells at Frederick about how that's gross. And Frederick immediately backs out of the arrangement, which is much better than Manfred has been doing this whole time. Because everyone's been yelling at Manfred, and he's just like, nope, I don't care. I'm Prince here. So Manfred decides at this point that Theodore has been meeting Isabella for secret, sexy rendezvous in the church this whole time, since he cannot conceive of how deeply pious and or valiant Theodore truly is. He rushes in, just stabbing women, stabbing whatever women he sees just indiscriminately. But lo, in his mad lust for stabbed women, he foolhardily stabs his own daughter, Matilda, who he just tried to sell to a rival pervert. Overcome with shame and grief, he collapses next to his daughter's body. And it is at this moment that Theodore is revealed to be the true Prince of Otranto. And just this friggin' huge ghost. This huge ghost shows up and says, "The prophecy is fulfilled," and he blows up the castle walls. Right? And that's the climax of the story. And so after that, Manfred and his poor, pathetic wife, Hippolyta, go and become nuns. They're like, he's like a man nun. They're both nuns now. They just give themselves to the church. Theodore ascends to his rightful place as Prince of Otranto, as we decided within the past 20 minutes. Like in game time, in the story time. In the past 20 minutes, a ghost said, "No, he's actually the prince." And everyone's like, "Totally." So he marries Isabella on the spot, and just right away. But he's not happy about it. He's lovelorn, because he was in love with Matilda for probably an hour and a half before her untimely death. And those wounds, again, by virtue of this being a Gothic romance, will never heal. However, he recognizes that he must do his duty and begrudgingly marries the huge-tracted princess. And together they settle into a dour rulership of mutual commiseration. I think the moral of the story is demonstrated in Manfred, and it's just, don't be the worst person you can imagine. It's... This did numbers in 1764. You hear about how the Victorians couldn't withstand a Cool Ranch Dorito or whatever, but then they turn around and speedball this overwrought melodrama right into the jugular. I'll bet this book was like 50 Shades for Enlightenment era England. It is a quick read. I had it on audiobook. I think I finished it in 3 hours, but I listen to my audiobooks really fast, which is why I talk like this. But it was very funny, and the language was accessible enough that you kind of forgot that it was written in 1760-something. Like, you could just, kind of roll on through. It, absolutely ridiculous. If you remember any of, the Shakespeare that you read in high school, anything like that, then you're ready for this. This is accessible to you, and it will be funny to you, because you've got enough of a background to it that you can see what's tropes and what plays like satire, even though it's not satire. And that's the funniest part. Our man, Horace Walpole, was dead serious this whole time. He was really trying. He was going for the Edgar Allan Poe. This is before Edgar Allan Poe. He was deeply trying to frighten his audience by just describing a large spectral night. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Buck's Books. This is likely the first of many in the month of October. I'll talk to you soon.